Bonjour tout le monde, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing a pretty fun video. We're going to talk about French stereotypes, but in a fun way because we are going to rank them. So I don't know if you've seen this kind of video, it's been trending for a while now, but I'm kind of late to the trend like always, but I thought it would be still fun to do. So it's a kind of video where you have a bunch of different boxes and you can rank different things. The first video I saw about that was on Emma Chamberlain's YouTube channel where she was ranking YouTubers, and I thought it would be fun to do that with some of the most famous French stereotypes, as I am French and I live 5 years in the US, so I heard a lot of French stereotypes and I see French stereotypes all the time on YouTube, on TikTok, on Netflix, I mean everywhere, so I thought it would be fun, so let's do it, let's French it! So first off, I'm going to kind of explain you what I put on there. First, I have different levels of ranking, then I'm going to kind of explain it to you why I put that on there, and then all the picture I'm going to rank, so each picture corresponds to one stereotype I heard about France, and then we're going to rank them and it's going to be fun. So the first level I put that you see in red is vrai, which means true in French, so it's going to be the things that I feel are pretty true. That's the first one. The second one in orange that you can see is Parisians only, just because a lot of people that come to Paris that are not from France, a lot of tourists go to Paris only and not to other cities in France or other parts of France in general. So a lot of stereotypes you might hear in movies like Emilie in Paris or other things you can see in series and all that stuff are a lot about Paris, and so some stereotypes might be a bit true about Paris but not the rest of France. The third one in the yellow level is comme ci comme ça. So it's kind of a saying we have, it's not so good, not so bad, kind of in the middle. I heard a lot of people say that, like strangers say that when I say like, you know, what, do you know anything in French? And they're like, comme ci comme ça, which is so cute. So I just put that on there for like the middle ground. Then we have in green the stop watching Emilie in Paris. So it's not like don't watch Emilie in Paris. I thought it was a fun show, I enjoyed watching it, but like any series or movies, most of the time there are a lot of cliches, a lot of stereotypes, and it's not really true, you know. So it's more like don't watch too much Emilie in Paris thinking like everything in that series is true about France, because it's not something to teach you really about a country or a culture. So I actually made a video about Emilie in Paris if you're interested. And the last one is fake news, because I love this expression, I feel like it's so funny, like fake news. So I put that in purple as level, and it means that it's false, like completely false. So that's all the levels I chose to kind of rank these different stereotypes. So the first picture you may see about the Eiffel Tower is the kind of idea that France is Paris, Paris is France. Paris is the most beautiful city in France, it kind of represents the rest of France. Then we have a snail, so you know what it means. It's the stereotype that French people love snails, eat snails all the time. So it's the stereotype I heard a lot of people told me like, do you eat snails all the time? Then we have smoking, so I heard a lot of time that French people smoke a lot more than other countries. Next one is not about kings and stuff of France, it's just the idea that French people kind of feel superior, or like higher than other people. I heard a lot of that in the US, like they told me, you know, like French people think they are better. Then we have the Eiffel Tower with the couple kissing in front of it, so of course it's about the stereotype that in France, especially Paris again, we have that romantic kind of ideal, and that we have that romantic atmosphere, that it's a really romantic, full of love city, and I think actually a lot of people call it like that, the city of love. So that's the other stereotype. Then right next to it, which kind of is opposite, but the next one is about how people are rude in France. People are mean, people are not very nice to talk to. Then the next one, which looks like something coming out of Shrek, stink. So I heard a lot of that in the US, where there were stereotypes about French people smelling bad, not taking shower, and stinking, which is so funny because there is also the stereotype that we are really elegant and always like dressing super nice. So I feel like it's kind of two things that kind of are opposite, but it's pretty funny. Next one is about dressing. So we have a lot of kind of dressing codes that are known in the world and that are stereotypes. So the beret, a hat basically that people stereotype, like we, as a French hat, we wear all the time. And like a lot of things, when you see like drawings of French people, they will always have a beret and then a cigarette in their mouth. We have the wine glasses, of course, the stereotype that French people love their wine and that we drink it all the time. And then the last one I'm going to talk about in the video is about frogs. So it kind of come back to snails, but it's the fact that we eat frog legs. Of course, there are a lot more stereotypes about France, but that's the one I selected for this video. So let's get started. So the first one about Paris. I don't know if I'm believing in Stop Watching Emilie in Paris or fake news. Probably fake news. Why I put it in fake news? Paris is a beautiful city. It's so much fun. If you've never been to France, of course, I feel like you should go to Paris as well because it's a beautiful city. I mean, it's known because it's beautiful, because there are a lot of things to do, and because it's one of the biggest cities in France. But I feel like too many people think of France as Paris or think of Paris as France. Like a lot of people, when we talk about France, of course, you think about Paris, but I feel like you don't know much about France as a whole, you just know about Paris. And I feel like it's really sad because France has so much to offer more than Paris. And some of the most beautiful things or cities or monuments or landscapes I've seen in France were not in Paris. Paris is beautiful, I'm not saying it's not, but there are so many more things that are beautiful in France. And then also, the culture is different in Paris because there are a lot of people coming from everywhere. You cannot feel as much in Paris that in other cities because it's not that French in a sense where because it's really international. So I feel like the stereotype like Paris represents France is kind of fake news in a sense because it doesn't represent France. And if you really want to learn more about French culture, you need to go to other cities. The next one is snails. So personally, I ate snails one time in my entire life, maybe twice, but I hate it. I think it's really gross. I don't like the texture, and just thinking of the snail, it just grosses me out. However, the sauce around the snail is so good. It's like butter and garlic, and it's amazing, but the actual snail, hate it. So yes, a lot of people eat snails or have eaten snail in their life because it is something we can eat in France. However, it's really not as famous. People think like we don't eat that every day. We don't eat that even every week. Even my parents, like I never really seen them eat snails. The person I know in my family that eats snails are my grandparents, and even when they eat them, it's pretty rare. So I will put it in like comme ci comme ça. Which means like, yes, most French people have eaten snails at least once in their life. You can find snails sometime at a restaurant and all that stuff, but it's really not something we eat all the time. It's not that common anymore. I feel like people don't eat snails most of the time, but it's something you can find. Next one, smoking. So smoking is something that I heard about a lot, and it's pretty true. I mean, I feel like French people do smoke a lot. You start pretty early as well, like not a good thing to smoke. Please don't smoke, it's not good for your health. I don't smoke personally, but in high school, like people started smoking pretty early on. And even now, I have a lot of friends that do smoke. I just know people of all generations that smoke. And if you go to Paris and you don't like smoking, you will see smoking. That's just how it is. If you go to a terrace, like if you drink or eat outside at a bar or restaurant, you will have people smoking. So you kind of have to get used to it. So yeah, I will put that in vrai, which means like, yeah, French people do smoke quite a lot. Next one, so French people feel like superior to other people and feel like better. I feel like we don't, I mean, in my experience, like people don't necessarily think they are better or more superior than other people. A lot of things I feel like people think that just because we like to criticize people or say things that we don't like or that we don't understand. So yes, if you talk to a French person, they might say, oh, I don't understand that in your country. In natural, we learn and grow up thinking that we have to debate about things. If you don't agree, you have to say it. And you have to have debate with people. So it's just something natural that we do. Even between us, we do that. Like when about politics, about other things, we like to debate. It's just how we are. It's how we grow up. It's what we learn at school, is to be able to have opinion. So it's not to be mean, and it's not necessarily always to feel superior, but just to have an opinion. And if we think something is better, we will say it. And just how it is. So I'm going to put that in I don't know. I will put that in comme si comme ça, in between comme si comme ça and Parisians. I feel like sometimes when you will see Parisians, they will seem more like that, but it's just like I say, it's more like a cultural thing. We don't necessarily think we're superior, but a lot of people are pretty educated and they like to debate about things. So next stereotype we're going to talk about is the one with a little picture of a couple in front of the Eiffel Tower. So is it really romantic? Is Paris really the city of love? So that one is kind of tricky just because first it's kind of false, like I don't think a city can be so romantic more than other cities, so I don't feel like Paris is necessarily more romantic or that people are all in love in Paris. However, just because Paris is one of the most visited capital in the world and because of all the series and movies where we talk about how Paris is a city of love, you will have a lot of couples from all around the world come to Paris for honeymoons or birthdays or nice events to take wedding pictures. So yes, you will see a lot of kind of couple like loving on each other, you know, in front of monuments and taking pictures. So it will seem more romantic maybe than other cities, but in reality it is not. You know, it's a really nice city to go as a couple. It's fun, you can walk around, do a lot of nice restaurants, and yeah, I understand that. However, I don't think a city can be romantic by itself. It's just people that make it romantic, so people see Paris as romantic, so they do more romantic things in Paris. I feel like that's just how it is. So I will put this one in stop watching Emilie in Paris, because it's not completely false, because tourist people kind of make it more romantic than it actually is, but in reality it's not more romantic. You will not see that many French people take pictures and be all cute and coupley in Paris more than other cities. So yeah, I'll put that one in stop watching Emilie in Paris because it's kind of Okay, next one is a little Mickey one with the F off. So just how people say a lot of French people are rude, mean, not really nice to talk to, which is false, guys. Okay, we are really nice people. I don't think French people are rude. I do believe that there are a lot of cultural thing going on, and like when people come to Paris, because most people when they come to visit France, they go to Paris, they have sometimes bad experiences, but I've seen a lot of comments told me that a lot of people had really good experience, so not everyone has a bad experience. But I felt like there is a cultural clash, like I talked about in a few videos already. But especially when you come to, for example, from a country like the US, where a lot of people are more open to strangers, they have small talk and, you know, randomly in the streets with other people, where the customer service is so much different because, for example, at restaurants, waitresses are paid in France, but in the US, they kind of get all their money from tipping, so they are extra nice because they want to try to earn a tip, so they smile a lot, they come back to your table asking how you are all the time. We don't do that in France, so I felt like all these little cultural things make it like kind of a cultural clash, and when an American person come to Paris, for example, they will not understand why people are not so outgoing and smiley. French people are not that, you know, we don't really talk to strangers, we don't really smile to strangers, we're kind of in our own little bubble. So yeah, it's not that we are rude, it's just that we seem rude sometimes to other countries, maybe if you're more outgoing in your own country. So I'll put this one in maybe Parisians only, which not all Parisians are rude, in just saying like you can see even more, I feel like the cultural difference in Paris, just because people are really busy in Paris, people are like, it's a really dynamic city, a lot of people work. Maybe if you stop them in the street, they will be annoyed just because it happens all the time. Okay, next one, the stick one, I heard that a lot, which makes me kind of laugh because it makes it a little different, because we have that picture of like France and especially Paris being romantic and beautiful and people are really elegant, and then you have that other stereotype that kind of crush all of that and say people stink. And I felt like that's completely fake news. I think it comes from two different things. So you have all that French cheese kind of thing going on, where we have cheese that really stink, and that's true, but it's not a people thing, it's a food thing. Yes, we do have cheese that stinks, it doesn't make it people stink as well. The second thing, if I feel like a lot of tourists, like I said, go to Paris only, where you should go to other cities in France because there are a lot more to France to see than just Paris, even if Paris is pretty quite fun to visit. But yeah, if you go to Paris, especially during the summer, a lot of people are working, a lot of tourists are visiting Paris, so a lot of people are in the trains, what we call RER, RER, and metro. So yeah, a lot of people are kind of stumble on one another in the train for hours, and it's just really hot inside the train. Sometimes it can go to 50 degrees. So yeah, people probably smell pretty bad in the trains. Doesn't make it French people smell bad, it's just people in the train smell bad. And when you have a bunch of tourists, a bunch of people working in 50 degrees in a train for like hours, it's not a great combination. So yeah, people might a lot stink on that situation, but in general, no, we don't stick more than other people. We do take showers every day. I feel like most people do, at least. I'll put this one in fake news. Another one is a beret, which is like a French style hat. So a lot of people find it it's like a stereotypes about France, and when you find illustration of French people, a lot of them will wear beret, which is actually not really true anymore. I feel like in older times a lot more people wore beret, but it's not a thing anymore. Like, I don't know any French person that's actually wear one. Every time I saw a person wearing one, it was a tourist coming to Paris and thinking like it's a cool thing to do, which I agree. I mean, sometimes it looks really good in a great outfit, I agree, but a lot of people, when you see them in Paris with a beret, are not French. There are a lot of people that are coming to take pictures, tourist people. So it's not true, it's a pretty fake stereotypes. I'll put it in, I don't know if I put it in fake news or stop watching Emilie in Paris. Probably just fake news, because most of the time you will never really see French people wearing berets. Next one is wine. So of course wine is really known in France, and you see a lot of stereotypes, especially like if you see illustration and everything, you will see always French people with a glass of wine. So wine, I will say it's pretty vrai, of course. We do love wine. I feel like everyone I know likes wine most of the time. I actually didn't like wine for a long time, and then now I start really liking it and enjoying it. Always have wine for like when we have people over, like for any occasion. If you go to a friend's house, you might have some wine. If you go to like a party, you will have some wine. For Christmas, for holidays, for if you go to a restaurant, anywhere, you will have wine. If you don't like it, it's kind of be weird. Sometimes people will be like, you want wine? You're like, no, I don't like it. And they're like kind of offended you don't like wine. Like, are you really French if you don't like wine? I don't know. So yeah, it is pretty vrai. Next one, last one for this video, is frogs. So I talked about some French food before in my videos, and people were like, oh, you didn't even address like frog legs. And I was like, yeah, so let's do it in this video. I actually never tried frog legs before I went to the US, and that's where I tried frog legs for the first time. So I didn't even know, like I didn't really hear about frog legs being like a French stereotype before. Like I knew about snails, of course, but frog legs not that much. And actually a lot of people told me that, and because I never tried it myself and like my family never do it, so that stereotype I felt like it's kind of false. Like I will put it maybe like I will put fake news, because just in my experience, I don't know, I didn't go live in the south of France. I don't know if in the south of France they do eat more frog legs than we do in the north, but I don't really know that many people that eat frog legs. I think I've seen one of my family members do it once, but most of the time, like I never really see anyone eat frog legs. Like if you go to a restaurant and all that stuff, you really don't really find that frog legs much. You all see snails, but frog legs not really much. Is that fake news? Maybe some French people are going to attack me in the comments like, what do you mean fake news? It is pretty vrai. So I hope you guys enjoyed this pretty light-hearted video. I thought it was fun to do. It's another way to talk about stereotypes without being just front camera, but having that little game thing going on. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments, and yeah, I will see you in my next video. Salut!